strap and blanket. We're going to move through some things on the floor to start with. In Supta Baddha Konasana, we'll have the block to start with here with our feet on it, but we'll be lying down with our knees open. And then we're going to move that block to below our hips again with the feet, same position, Supta Baddha Konasana, but we're going to find ourselves up on that block. So then we'll then open up the hips. Then we'll move up to taking a blanket and or the block, your choice, and rolling it up and having that again, Supta Baddha Konasana, opening those hips, but this will come lengthwise along our spine so that we can lie back and get some chest openers and heart openers. Then up under the back of the skull to open up the throat. So we'll work our way from the bottom of the body all the way up. So starting though with just coming to a moment of quiet on our mat. And if you'd like to just lie down and stretch your body out nice and long. And find Shavasana, and if at all possible, all these beautiful things that I'm learning in my master class or in my other classes, if we can ever find our heads at the north and our feet at the south for those polarities, it is the perfect place. Also keeping the heels together in Shavasana so that we maintain that energetic connection throughout the body. So if that's available to you right now, find a way to do that. And lie back and take a few big, deep, even rounds of breath. And when I say take those even deep rounds of breath, breathe all the way down into the low belly. And you can't breathe into the low belly. So let me rephrase that. Breathe into the lower lungs, the middle lung, the upper lung. And exhale from the lower lung, middle lung, upper lung. And repeating that process several times, doing a simple body scan this morning. Just checking in with our bodies from head to toe. Where do we need a little more nourishment? Where do we need a little more kindness and gentleness and a little more love in our body? So long, slow, deep breaths. And maybe add a count to that breath as we get started this morning. Maybe add a count of 6 on the inhale. And a count of 6 on the exhale. Relaxing the entire body from head to toe as much as we possibly can. Three more deep breaths. Just checking out of everything that is not helpful to you right now at the moment. And focusing in on your body, your mind, your spirit, making that connection. We're going to talk a lot today about contentment, Santosha, the second of the niyamas. And as we take that scan of our bodies with our breath and our awareness, maybe take a scan of how you feel you're dealing with life in general right now. Are we content where we are? So if it is available to you this morning, taking your block, bringing it down under the ankles, we're going to set our feet in Baddha Konasana. So just bringing the soles of the feet together, resting them on that block. Make sure that your hips are a sufficient distance for your body away from that block. Inhale, lengthen the spine as we lay ourselves back down on the earth. Take a few moments here to adjust and notice the transition in the hips and the low back. If you need, it's always available. Your hands can be gently curled up and tucked under, just under the hips to support so that you can let go and not hold on to that tension. We can use blocks or blankets to support the body. Walk the shoulder blades down the back. Gently tuck the chin so that we maintain the integrity of the cervical spine as well. Take those long, deep breaths into the body. Let your hips open up. Let your knees soften. Let your low back notice a shift. Let the psoas muscle soften. And feel it all let go here as we just lie here contemplating the meaning of Santosha. Santosha in Sanskrit, Sam, S-A-M, is completely, and I know Santosha is spelled with an N, but when we put it together, it changes from that M to an N. Sam is completely. Tosha means acceptance. Complete acceptance. The first thing that comes to mind for me is acceptance of ourselves. Not many of us completely find acceptance with ourselves. We either wish we were somewhere else, or wished we had something else, or wouldn't somebody else's life be nice to have? When in all reality, we are right where we are meant to be, right here, right now. And we should find gratitude in that. So as you scan your body and soften here for the next few moments, think about your ability to completely accept who you are, your path and where you are right now. Can we let go all the adjectives with which we describe ourselves? Dig deeper into who we are. Give yourself 3 more complete rounds of breath. Just letting go. Very gently from here, we're going to shift yet again. So we can scoop the knees up slowly, engaging our core slightly so we protect our low back. And we can slide that block out to our side. Take a moment to stretch out in Shavasana again. It's always beautiful to allow our bodies to shift from one yin posture to the other, just to feel what happens in those rebound moments when we stretch out and lie down again. So pause here. Take 3 full rounds of breath before we move into our next yin posture. Complete relaxation from head to toe. About taking these moments of self-care, it's very difficult for us to find self-acceptance. Too busy, tension creeping in, stress creeping in, especially these times. Find some release. And then slowly walk the feet up the mat. Draw the knees into the chest. Find that little rock from side to side. Massage the low back out. Massage the shoulders. Maybe even let the head roll from side to side. All options. And then we're going to plant our feet on the earth with the knees bent, and we're going to slip that block just below our sacrum. So whatever height works for you, I personally would rather you stay with the lowest height or the middle height. This is yin. We want to take it easy on our bodies and not go to the highest one. And once you've found the ability to lift the hips and rest your sacrum on that block and it feels good to you, again, draw the feet up, soles of the feet together, and let the knees drop open. And as you open up, again, being very mindful with the hips, very mindful with the knees. If there's any pain ever in anything that you're doing with your physical body, that's your signal to back out. So be patient, practice kindness to the body, practice gentleness, but notice the hips at this point. We need a little extra support. Feel free to tuck another block under those knees, a blanket under the knees. As we jump into further information with Santosha, contentment. Thinking about our stories. Our stories we tell ourselves, or our stories we allow to dictate who we are. Stories about how we got to where we are. Stories about what we're doing now with our time. Stories maybe of our childhood. And it's interesting to note that our stories are exactly how we interpret the world as we know it today. So maybe it's a time to rewrite our story. Maybe it's a time to look a little deeper than the story itself. Maybe it's time to remove those layers of illusion and Maya and peel everything back to the space that we can make the connection with who we truly are. So contemplating as we breathe, who are we after we find ourselves released from all those stories, all that verbiage? Stay with this deep, beautiful breaths, allowing the body to soften. Each inhale, creating space. Each exhale, allowing the surrender into that space to take place. What stories do we let ourselves get caught up in? Give yourself 3 or 4 more deep rounds of breath here. Maybe extend the legs out long for a moment with the support of that block under the sacrum. Nice. Take a full inhale into the body. And an open mouth sigh, exhale it out. All is well. Find contentment right at this very moment. And note what that feels like in the body. We've chosen some of these specific hip opening yin practices this morning because too often when we find ourselves not content with where we are, whether we realize it or not, we bury that information and we just keep pushing it down and we push it down and we push it down and we push it down. And our hips hold that space for those things to creep into our life. So maybe finding room today to let some of that go. Or even acknowledge the feelings of contentment as we lie in these positions, in these asanas. Or if you note in your body there's a little bit of tension, maybe we're holding on to some things that we're not so happy with. And again, we may not even realize it. Take those deep breaths. Focus on release. Focus on accepting who we are, where we are. Create contentment in your life. Three more deep breaths here, and then when you've had the ability to take those 3 or 4 more rounds of breath on your own time, slowly walk the feet up, lift yourself from that block, lay your spine back down on the earth as if you were laying your spine down as a string of pearls, one vertebrae at a time, with the most gentle notions. Handling this beautiful body of ours with loving kindness and care. And stretching out into Shavasana yet again, just for a few more even breaths. Breathe into the lower lung, the middle lung, the upper lung. Find the exhale in the same way. One more big inhale with a sigh, an open mouthed, deep exhale out of the body, just letting everything go. It's amazing what that open mouth exhale does for our body, for our brain to reset. It's that pause. Our next posture, you'd like to move into a place on your right side for a moment, staying with that calm energy. Ida, the calming energy of the moon on the left being activated by lying on our right side here for just a moment, pressing your way up to a seat. We're going to find that rolled blanket or bolster. Long ways on our mat. Feel free, if you have an extremely long torso, to lay a block up at the top of it so that we have some support for our cervical spine and our neck. But we want to slip our hips right up to the back of that bolster or rolled blanket and lay ourselves back. So remember, as we inhale, we really lengthen our spine here, pressing into the earth with both hands. Lengthen the spine, and again, laying it down like this precious string of pearls all the way down. Maybe bring the hands up to the head and gently lengthen the head and the neck. Noticing where our body lands. Protecting the spine. And from here, we can take our feet out long. Maybe you've had enough of the hip openers. Extend the feet out long, if that's okay. If you would like to continue with Baddha Konasana, keep the soles of the feet together. Let the knees drop open. It's your body, your practice. Know what works best for you and practice what you need. Maybe take a moment here to reach the fingers all the way up to the sky. And we nestle our shoulder blades around that stack of blankets or bolsters so that we lift our heart space here. Let the palms float down to the earth. Palms up. Take those deep, even rounds of breath again this morning. Notice the heart space. Maybe even take time this morning to maybe place our hands, palms down on the shoulder blades, not shoulder blades, collarbones, or just below the collarbones. So we know that when we bring awareness of the body and breath, they make that connection. So our hands as Sparsha mudras act as anchors here on the chest. They draw our awareness to the space below our hands. And as we take those beautiful, sweet, deep breaths, notice that breath and its prominence below your hands on the upper chest. We have the gift, the beautiful ability to bring awareness with our touch, to shift that prana, to shift that energy to the upper chest. Take those deep breaths and notice. And with that happening, we also have the ability to focus in on our heart space. That is where our soul resides, Atman, the self. The one true part of us that is actually content all the time. The one true part of us that I hope I can say knows nothing more than contentment. No matter where we are on this path or in this walk of life. It is our ego or our ahamkar mind who takes us on these crazy journeys, telling us that we're not content, telling us we should be frustrated, or we should be angry, or we should be upset, or we should be somewhere else. Who do you choose to listen to today? Your heart or your ego? Again, we have a beautiful choice. Sometimes easier said than done. Breathe into your hands at your heart space. Breathe in and open this space up into this beautiful gift that we have called life. May not always be perfect. But in most senses, it's imperfectly perfect, depending on our perception. If we change our perception, we can also change how we see the world. Santosha. Finding contentment in the midst of any obstacle coming our way. Give yourself 3 or 4 more deep, even rounds of breath here in this beautiful heart opener. When you are ready, rolling again to your right side, momentarily sliding that block or that bolster or that blanket off your mat and to the right side of your mat. Again, coming back to Shavasana, stretch out. Take 3 deep breaths. Breathe in contentment. Let go of tension. Let go of judgment. Let go of fear. As Muggs, my beautiful teacher, always reminds me, and I believe to her it comes from Eric Schiffman, fears, false expectations appearing real. What are your expectations of yourself today? Have we set the bar too high? Can we just be content with this moment? Maybe we set the bar too low. Maybe we need to contemplate all the reasons why we should find peace in our life and contentment. Find your block from Shavasana, and we're just gently going to take that block under our head. Again, the middle height. And just resting the block on the earth and the skull, the base of the skull on the edge of that block. So we can get a nice stretch up the back side of the cervical spine. If this is not something that's comfortable to you, you can just maybe place the bolster under the back side of the skull. But either way, again, notice the shoulders. We want to walk them down away from the ears. So walking the shoulder blades on the earth down the back. Pause here, take a few breaths. Note what the feeling of contentment is in your heart space. Can you view your life, or the situation we're in this world, with some inner peace and contentment? Remembering when we're content, even in rough times, even in sad times, even in fearful times, we still have the ability to hone in on that sense of inner peace. Sometimes I think that inner peace is the most important thing that we have to come back to. beautiful breaths into the lower lung, middle lung, upper lung. Full yogic breathing, Dirga Pranayama. Three more deep rounds of breath. Lifting the head slowly from the block, setting the block off to the side. Laying the head back down. We're going to locate that strap. We have our blanket on the right side of our body or our bolster on the right side of our body. And for now, we're going to come back to our backs with the strap and find it around the ball of that left foot. Maybe we find that right knee bent. Maybe it's more comfortable to have it extended out and long. Maybe we want to find that strap down in the ball of the foot or even in the arch of the foot, depending on where we really want to find that stretch. And just play with it a little bit here, just slowly bringing the feet or the foot towards the face and away. Just gentle little seesaw of movement here. Maybe we bring it a little closer and hang on. Let the toes come down to the face. Press the heel away from the body. Feel the stretch all the way up the back side of that hamstring. So again, feeling a little bit of tension, can we find contentment with that tension? Can we find the ability to let go a little here? And experience that slight bit of tension in that hamstring with a little inner peace. Or do we right away let our ego talk us out of the experience? Give yourself just a few more breaths. Relax the shoulders, the neck, the jaw when we're here. Notice where you might have created some tension. I'm going to take both straps in the left hand this time and open the leg all the way out to the left. Maybe use the right hand on the right hip bone as an anchor. Maybe we bring that foot up again a little closer to our left shoulder. And breathe. Create a little tension. Press through the heel. Notice the stretch in the inner groin. Take a full inhale and exhale, letting go, easing into the space. One more big round of breath. Core stays engaged. We're going to slowly bring that left leg back into center. We're going to bend the right knee. Shift our hip, lift our hips up and shift our hips over to the left side of our mat a little bit. We're going to extend that right leg back out long. Take the straps in the right hand and let that right leg come down and rest on that bolster or blanket we've provided. Now here the tension shifts into the back side of the glute. Maybe we take the left arm, open it all the way out. Maybe we take our head over to the left. Whatever works best for you here, enjoying this stretch. If it's too much tension, back off. You are in control. You have the ability to create your own sense of ease and awareness. Also, your own inner peace. Give yourself 3 or 4 deep rounds of breath here. Letting go of that tension. A gentle move of the head back to the center of the body. And align our spine from top to bottom. So very slowly engaging the core, bringing that left leg back up to center. Bring the left knee into the body and just find that gentle squeeze of that knee into the chest. Maybe a little movement, maybe a circle or two. Finding that femur and its rotation in that hip socket. Take it in the opposite direction as well. Find that balance. Extend it out long, finding your strap around the ball or the arch of the right foot this time. Stretch through that leg, note the difference. Maybe there's none, but are you aware enough of your body to note that there are subtle differences and shifts here? Extend that heel to the sky. Maybe find the left leg long, maybe find it bent. Again, completely up to you today. Maybe find that little seesaw movement, gentle pull towards you and away, and pull towards you and away. Just a little movement. Bring the toes down towards the face. Press that heel to the sky. And if you forgot to breathe, continue those deep breaths. Gently opening that right leg up. If your prop's in the way, it probably is. I didn't remind you to move it to the left side, but you can move that blanket or bolster off to the left so it can support you when we move into that deeper outer glute stretch. But open the right leg all the way up. Maybe draw that foot up closer to the shoulder. Press through that heel again. Create that tension. Find a few deep inhales and exhales to the body here. How are we interpreting the world around us right now? Even as upside down as it may seem, can we find some inner peace in circumstances at this time? Can we be content with where we are when we tap back in to our bodies and our breath? That space of our soul. Slowly bringing the leg back up and through center. Bend the left foot, plant it on the earth, create some stability, lift the hips, shift them over to the right side of the mat. Take the right leg all the way across the body and let it rest on that pile of blanket or bolster that you've created for the support. Take a few deep inhales and exhales. Let the outer quadrant of that right hip relax and soften. Slowly inhaling the head back to center. The leg back to center. pausing here in Shavasana. Taking those deep breaths. Checking back in with our body. Checking back in with our mind. Checking back in with our spirit today. Where are we? Where can we adjust? Where can we learn the practice of Santosha? Where can we at least become aware that Santosha is within our grasp or our reach? Where can we become aware of those signs that we aren't content with the situation that we found ourselves in at the moment? What can we do? What steps can we take to come back to that space? It's up to us. Soften the eyes, soften the jawline, soften the tongue, soften the shoulders, the arms. Maybe place a hand on the heart and the belly and notice that beautiful breath and the control we have to bring it into the places and the spaces that we need it most. And know that we have the control to bring with that breath harmony, peace, happiness, joy, Santosha, contentment. Relax the hips, relax the legs all the way down to the tips of the toes. It's a beautiful little visualization that comes to mind for me here is this picture that I've seen of Winnie the Pooh and Piglet taking a walk on a path. And Pooh asks, "What day is it?" "It's today," squeaks Piglet. "My favorite day," said Pooh. If we look at everything as my favorite day, my favorite mug of coffee, this was the best rainfall. This was the best morning. We can find contentment. We can find peace. Let everything be your best. Start to deepen your breath here slowly. Invite in prana, those little movements to our fingers, our toes, our ankles, our wrists. And slowly find yourself in a comfortable seat. I'd like to share just a couple more minutes of this beautiful meditation to help with finding those peaceful places. And when we find ourselves seated comfortably, there is a mudra called Padma Mudra, and it is that lotus flower. And it's bringing our hands together, the pinky side of the hand and the thumbs together. And we open our fingers into this beautiful lotus of the heart. And we let it shine from this place of our heart. And closing the eyes here, maybe we find ourselves sometimes doubting our own contentment. We're finding ourselves in a place maybe of darkness, where we've maybe let our ego speak to us too harshly or too loudly. And we close the fingers up here and we draw the backs of the hands down, and we take the hands down into those murky waters, the darkness, knowing that out of that darkness, we feed it a little nourishment, a few words of love, a few words of peace, and it comes to surface as this beautiful bud. And we continue to give it a little love from our heart space, a little light, and it opens. And that's where we need to stay. So when we feel that darkness creep in or things shift for us, come back to this space of nourishing, of contentment with where we are. Share your light. Find Santosha in the little things in life. It'll make it much easier for us to find Santosha in all that we are surrounded with. Have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed day and rest of your weekend. Namaste.
Namaste.